Donald Trump has temporarily paused the implementation of tariffs on a variety of goods from Canada and Mexico. This decision, announced 2 days after imposing widespread duties, delays the tariffs until April. Despite claiming there were no delays at all, Trump signed an order in the Oval Office postponing these tariffs. This follows his earlier decision to provide a 1-month reprieve for car makers after they warned of serious disruptions. Retailers have also cautioned that consumers could face rising prices in grocery stores thanks to Trump's tariffs. After speaking with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, Trump stated that Mexico would not be subject to tariffs on items covered under the existing United States-Mexico-Canada agreement. Later in the day, he extended similar relief to Canada until April 2nd, despite previously criticizing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for allegedly exploiting the tariff issue for political gain. Trump denied that his decision was influenced by recent stock market volatility, even as the S&P 500 dropped 1.8% today. During a recent address to Congress, he acknowledged that tariffs could cause a little disturbance, but insisted the administration was prepared for it. Although he initially planned to impose tariffs on Canada and Mexico immediately upon returning to office, Trump delayed action until February. When the tariffs took effect, they included a 25% duty on all Mexican goods, 25% on most Canadian products, and 10% on Canadian energy imports. Additionally, tariffs on Chinese exports were doubled from 10 to 20%. Trump and his supporters argue that increased tariffs will strengthen the U.S. economy by leveraging economic pressure to secure favorable trade agreements. However, many businesses and economists warn that such measures could harm both domestic and global economies. In a separate development, a federal court has ruled that Donald Trump acted unlawfully when he abruptly dismissed a senior official from the United States' top labor agency, ordering she should be reinstated. Quinn Wilcox, the first member of the National Labor Relations Board to be removed by a U.S. president since the board's creation in 1935, was the subject of this decision. In her ruling, Judge Beryl A. Howell emphasized that the U.S. Constitution clearly does not allow any government official, including the president, to act as a monarch. Howell, who oversaw the hearing on a motion for summary judgment in the District of Columbia, wrote that the president does not have the authority to remove NLRB members at will. She described Trump's attempt to remove Wilcox as a blatant violation of the law. Howell further remarked that any president who views themselves as a king or dictator misunderstands their constitutional role under Article 2. The section of the Constitution defines the president's powers and responsibilities, including the duty to uphold and enforce the laws enacted by Congress. Wilcox initiated legal action last month, arguing that her dismissal violated the National Labor Relations Act. This law specifies that board members can only be removed for cause, such as negligence or misconduct. Her removal reduced the board's membership to 2, falling short of the 3-member quorum required to decide cases. Following the ruling, Wilcox expressed her readiness to return to her duties. "It's not just about me, but I'm proud to represent this fight," she stated outside the courthouse. The White House defended her dismissal, arguing that both Wilcox and the NLRB General Counsel were far-left appointees with radical views that did not align with the Trump administration's vision for labor policy. During the hearing, Howell noted that the Trump administration contended the law preventing the removal of board members was unconstitutional. Similar arguments have surfaced in other legal challenges against the NLRB by companies such as SpaceX and Amazon in response to labor enforcement actions. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department is planning to close several consulates, primarily located in Western Europe, in the coming months and is considering reducing its workforce worldwide. Officials revealed that the State Department is exploring the possibility of merging several expert bureaus at its Washington headquarters. These bureaus focus on areas such as human rights, refugees, global criminal justice, women's issues, and efforts to combat human trafficking. Reports indicate that U.S. missions worldwide have been instructed to evaluate staff reductions of at least 10% as part of a broad cost-cutting initiative led by Trump and his live-in domestic partner Elon Musk. The Internal Revenue Service is reportedly drafting plans to reduce its workforce by as much as 50% through a combination of layoffs, attrition, and incentivized buyouts. Approximately 7,000 probationary IRS employees with a year or less of service were laid off in February. In addition to these cuts, the Trump administration plans to temporarily transfer IRS workers to the Department of Homeland Security to support immigration enforcement efforts. This decision came after a formal request from DHS Secretary Kristi Noem to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. The administration's approach to deconstruct the administrative state, as per Project 2025, aims to significantly shrink the federal workforce through various measures, including the closure of agencies and a deferred resignation program, offering buyouts to most federal employees, however, with no promise that they'll be paid out. According to recent IRS data, the agency employs around 90,000 people nationwide, with people of color making up 50% of the workforce, and women representing 65%. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.